Thank you for pressing start on episode 96 of Underplayed, KZUM's indie video game podcast. Today, we have 2 secret games, followed by a review of our featured game, Don't Starve Together. Here on Underplayed, we review indie games of all kinds, the games with small budgets but big hearts, the lesser-known experiences with imaginative ideas. I'm Bo Poe, and I have a co-host. What's better than that? He's shaking his cake in Human Fall Flat, powering his radio with the turn of a crank, and playing through games till the backlog is blank. It's the 1,000 times resistant, Google form insistent, funky member of the Bomb Rush crew, DiscoCola. How do you do?
Got a bit of whiplash. I was trying to cook a birchnut seed, and then I fell down this wormhole, and now I'm here. How are you?
I'm doing just fine, my baby beefalo. Those are references to our featured game, Don't Starve Together. It is Season 9 of Underplayed's co-op game. We always choose a co-op game to feature every season, and this was my pick for Season 9's co-op game, and I had never played Don't Starve or Don't Starve Together.
Me either, yeah.
So this was new for both of us.
I always knew what it looked like.
Yes, an iconic-looking game. We'll talk about some of the distinct visuals in this game for sure a little bit later when we review Don't Starve Together. And you get to pick the co-op game next season.
Yeah, I recently looked at our list of vetted games and already decided what it was, but at this very moment, I cannot remember what it was. But I did already decide, and once I look at the list again, I'll be ready to pick that.
That's fun. Right now, we only have 9 co-op games in that list, so it's one of these that I'm looking at. I'm super looking forward to what that could be. But yeah, we are actually approaching the end of our season.
We're approaching the end. I kind of want to ask you something right now, actually. I'm going to interrupt you. What do you want to call the segments between episodes 100s? I kind of wanted to call them epochs or however you pronounce that word.
The segments between?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
We'll have 9 seasons
Yeah.
and then a 100th episode or a 200th episode or 300th episode. I kind of want to block all of those together in a category.
Oh, what's a group of 100 called?
Yeah.
Omnibus.
Omnibus?
Omnibus is
Okay.
what I had in mind.
This is our first omnibus.
You said epoch, though?
Epoch,
I like
yeah.
epoch. What was the other one you said?
I don't know how it's pronounced for sure, so I just tried to pronounce it 2 different ways.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Epoch, a period of time in history or a person's life, typically one marked by notable events or particular characteristics. I like that. Omnibus is a term that I've gotten from the comic book world. It doesn't have to exclusively be used there, but omnibus, a volume containing several novels or other items previously published separately. So I think it has more to do with literature. But I just think it's a pretty fancy word.
Yeah, it's not something we'll use in an official capacity. There's no third category on the platforms that says season episode, omnibus number. So,
yeah, I mean, it feels wrong to call it I guess there's a cent sort of prefix we could use. Centum. A centum.
We could call it that.
Centum meaning, that's an indie game. Let me look up what centum means. It is a Latin term meaning 100. It is used in academic context to describe a branch of Indo-European languages that retained a hard K sound. We don't need to know that. What does the word centum mean? Latin for 100.
Okay.
A centum of episodes. That, I don't know.
What's the plural of centum?
Centums.
Okay.
According to this.
All right.
Could be wrong, but centums. So,
which one sounds the most pretentious of our options? I want to pick
Omnibus.
that one. Okay.
Omnibus sounds most pretentious to me. I'll be honest in that.
Listener, let us know which one makes us sound like as much of a douchebag as we can be.
I would propose use all of them interchangeably. That's what we do here. Well, very fun. Yeah, we are approaching the end of our first 100 episodes and also the end of season 9. And hey, we wanted to let you know about a plan that came about after we started season 9. Next episode, we're going to be featuring the game Flower. And originally, we didn't have a guest planned for that episode. But through a series of talks and friends of friends conversations, we ended up connecting with a games critic and podcaster, Flora Marigold of Left Behind Game Club. And Flora is highly interested in joining us for the Flower episode. So we're going to have Flora Marigold on next episode. If you don't know Left Behind Game Club, it is a collective podcast that they do kind of like a game club style podcast. They play games and talk about them as a group. And I got a chance to meet Flora at PAX East.
Oh, wow.
And we sat together for video game trivia and got to talk about games together quite a bit. So yeah, that will be our guest next episode if all goes well. I think we still have to schedule the recording, but I think we're going to make it work.
Yeah. That's cool. I didn't know you met them.
Yes. Yeah, Flora's very, very nice, very knowledgeable about games and just very fun to talk to. So we're looking forward to it. I don't think I have anything else to say other than our PAX East episode should be out around now. If it isn't out quite yet, it'll be out momentarily, but the goal is to have the PAX East episode out slightly before this episode, if we can make it work.
Which means, and I haven't done the math on this, I think either this episode or the PAX episode is our literal 100th episode. But we're very particular about our numbering system, so F you, it doesn't count.
Yeah, it's a bonus episode. Yeah. So please listen to that. And there were a lot of cool interviews I got to get at PAX East, and we surely had a great discussion. We're actually recording it tomorrow as we sit down here. But yeah. Anything else you wanted to mention?
Oh, sorry. I
Ooh,
played a little footsie there.
We've never done that before. Ooh. This is rare that I have my feet stretched out that far, so it was bound to happen at some point.
Good. At least I had my shoes on this time.
Maybe someday we can both have our shoes and socks off.
Ooh, I never take my socks off.
do a little toe hug.
No,
you know,
I
like
hate
this.
it. I hate it. I don't even do that with my bed partner.
Well, we will move on. But before we do, there are a few very easy ways to support Underplayed. They cost nothing. They take almost no time at all. And we would really appreciate you doing some of these things for us if you haven't already. One, you can give us a follow and a 5-star rating on podcast platforms that you might be listening to. That makes us appear more consistently for you and for others. Sometimes you do have to listen to a few episodes before you have the option to rate a podcast. So keep on listening if you're new, and give us a 5-star rating if you don't mind. 2, you can follow us across social media. We have links in our show notes for that. And 3, any way you can share our podcast by reposting our stuff on social media or telling your indie game loving friends about us. All that stuff means a whole lot. And as always, we love you. Thank you for listening. It's time for our secret games.
Secret games. Secret games. Secret games. Secret games.
In Secret Games, we're each going to reveal a game we've been playing recently, an indie game that we'd like to review today on episode 96 of our show. We don't talk about what we're going to review in this moment, so the game that Disco tells me that he wants to talk about is going to be a surprise for me. I have a game that I haven't told him about, and we can choose any indie game as long as we haven't reviewed it before. We'll start with you, DiscoCola. Let the mystery be no more. Reveal your secret game for episode 96 of Underplayed.
Real quick, can I say that part that we specify as long as we haven't reviewed it before? I was looking back at all of my secret games recently, and I forgot that I actually reviewed Rain World for the program. I totally forgot.
Did you prepare Rain World?
No.
Oh, I thought that's where you were going.
I was thinking about Rain World, and I was like, oh, that's a game it's too hard. I'm never going to play it for Underplayed. And then I was looking at it a couple days later.
You played like 30 hours of that.
Yeah, I looked
and
at
then
it and
talked
I'm like,
about.
Oh, I did in fact.
You did.
Play that.
It wasn't me. I'll tell you that for free. It wasn't a featured game. We are starting to get to that point where it's potentially easy to forget that we talked about a game. So be diligent from here on out.
I've learned that I'm going to have to.
Yeah. Like do a Control F.
Control F on all pages. Yeah. Anyways, I mentioned recently to a close group of friends that we talk with online that this is a game that all of us will at least like, some of us will love.
Okay.
My secret game is a 2020 puzzle platformer from, and I believe this is a French name, so forgive me, Douze DZMs, and it's called Shady Part of Me.
There once was a girl who was trapped in the dark, with naught but her shadow for company. A journey to escape she did embark, and her shadow followed distrustfully. She ventured and climbed, fought with tooth and nail, straining to escape a world of nightmares. Inevitably, the darkness prevailed. The girl found no hope in light, but despair. Don't cry. All is not lost, called out a voice. If you give up, forever you will stay. The girl cried out, I'm trapped, I have no choice. Her shadow smiled. With me, there is a way.
Oh, I know this game. This is in my backlog, and it is on my very long list of secret game ideas. I've never played it, though.
It's no longer on your secret game ideas, but you can still play it.
Amazing. I'm looking forward to this. There's a reason I bought it at some point. It was on sale. It had been on my wish list.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know a whole lot about it. Don't assume I know much.
Okay. I also didn't know much before playing it myself. Now, the story for Shady Part of Me, if I'm totally honest, kind of goes over my head. So at its most shallow level, here's what I can tell you. A young girl wakes up from her bed and is seemingly trapped in this facility. And soon after this young girl awakes, her shadow manifests as well. And this young girl and her shadow work together to solve puzzles and find a way out. But as we travel through the early game, we sort of learn a few things about this girl. One, first and foremost, she is afraid of the light and tries to stay in the darkness. And second, as a result of that, she does kind of seem to prefer to stay in this facility to some degree. One of the early lines is, all I need are my friends and my books. She doesn't need to go outside or something. So that's something that we learned pretty early on. Another thing of note is that this game has voice acting, seems to be from Hannah Murray, and the shadow of the young girl has a much more mature, much more adult-sounding voice than the young girl. And so while I can't concretely and definitively say I understand the true meaning of this, having now completed the game, to me this indicates the shadow of the young girl is an older version of her that is grappling with the baggage of her past and her youth.
Interesting.
That may kind of sound like a spoiler. I don't think that it is. I think that's the conclusion you're supposed to draw.
It's interesting that a shadow is usually something that suggests something that's following
you, like your past.
But the shadow has the adult voice and is possibly looking backward.
Yeah. So again, that's part of this is why it's going over my head, because it's making choices that I don't expect.
Okay.
So I may try to watch an analysis video between now and editing time to get some clarification. And if I'm wrong, we'll cut this. But
well, do you know for a fact that it is the shadow speaking? Like, do you see its mouth moving?
You don't see its mouth moving, but it's clear based on certain voice lines will trigger based on the location of the shadow versus the location of the young girl.
Gotcha. Because I was thinking, what if it's just a narrator looking at the whole scene and like is commenting from kind of a third person?
Well, there is actually a little bit of a narrator. There is a third character that is called the Other. And this is a male voice and seems pretty clearly to be like a therapist of some sort.
Okay.
Next thing I want to note is that the young girl which is just what I'm going to call her, the young girl, exists in a 3D space and cannot jump and will be eliminated, or you will fail, essentially, if she falls into the light. She doesn't actually die. Conversely, the shadow exists in an only 2D space. She can platform, and she does disappear if she falls into darkness.
Okay.
So you use both of these gameplay styles to help these girls reach the end of what are essentially one-room puzzles. And you can only control one at a time.
Oh.
And each character, so to speak, can interact with levers or other objects to influence the layout of the other character's traversal so that each character can ultimately reach the end of those one-room puzzles. You do also have access to a rewind button and can rewind all the way back to, I'm guessing, the beginning of the current room.
Okay.
I never did try to see how far I could rewind.
So that's how you're undoing possible mistakes?
Yes. Sometimes it's just a matter of saving time. Sometimes you can like jump, especially as the shadow character, jump in a way that you can't reverse.
Okay.
So that's where the rewind button comes in handy. And along the way, these two will converse with or attack each other, as well as the character I mentioned before, the other. The only other thing I would mention is that you can collect origami birds in both planes of existence by doing something slightly more puzzly or exploratory. So there are some collectibles here as well.
Okay.
What they ultimately unlock at the end, I don't know, because I managed to get all of them before the end of the game. So here's the things I want to point out as positives for Shady Part of Me. In general, I'm guessing this is the reason you bought it, but it's the reason I bought it. The general art style. I've really been looking for an excuse to play this for quite a while. Even the thumbnail for this game paired with the title Shady Part of Me is really enticing. And I think there's a lot here that people will probably compare to Little Nightmares, especially in the 3D plane.
Yeah, I was going to say dark. I'm getting dark vibes a bit.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that like young building blocks and like toy dolls, and it's kind of in this like heavily shaded, 3D space. So there's a lot of similar art style cues there. Additionally, the various rooms and settings of the game are super attractive. Now, of course, half of this game is shadows on a wall, but the other half, the 3D plane, takes place in a library and in an industrial facility and a carnival. And the 3D part of this game does look really heckin' cool. The overall premise for gameplay is fascinating. It harkens back to my gameplay for 2D and Top D to a degree, but this is just more interesting and artful all around. Finding all the different collectibles is pretty fun and has me pushing the light and shadow puzzles to boundaries that aren't immediately clear. And then in turn, by going that extra mile to get these origami birds, I'm learning boundaries of puzzle mechanics that will maybe help me in later puzzles. So it's benefiting me in puzzle solving to go that extra mile in some cases.
That's great. Sometimes the collectibles feel a bit detached or off the path enough that they there's not really a connect there.
And that's more the case with the ones in the 3D plane, but especially the shadow plane collectibles are really rewarding. The voice acting is all really good. I don't really have much to add to that. It just does a great job of painting the picture of going through therapy, I assume. That's what I'm supposed to take away from it, and if that is, job well done.
I think it's kind of suggested in the name of the game, Shady Part of Me, like a side of me that I want to address or meditate on. That title sounds very intentional.
Yeah, I agree. The puzzle difficulty is in a real sweet spot for me. I did have to look a few things up, but not too much. And then there were some puzzles that really wowed me, like where we start moving the shadow from one plane to another, and even changing her gravity. It's all really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, it's now I'm thinking of Limbo.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought of when the gravity showed up. And then lastly, I really want to point to the music. At first, it feels pretty like atmospheric and unassuming. Again, pointing to this game, think if like Little Nightmares was less creepy. But then at times it gets some juice, it gets some percussion, And I think this music from Nicholas Gigan and vocals from Dinah are just really amazing. This might be my favorite from the season so far outside of Gravity Circuit.
Wow.
I think this music is really awesome. I was listening to it when I was finishing my notes, and I'm going to listen to it later when I'm finishing work. I want to move on to things that I have slight complaints about. There is a certain point in this game where the solution to the shadow puzzles sometimes become just platform really quickly.
Oh.
And it kind of happens pretty suddenly, and there wasn't really anything up to that point that indicated I'm going to have to platform very quickly to solve a puzzle.
Oh, so maybe you're doing a bit of trial and error.
Yeah.
Like you have to take a death maybe, or a fail.
I was failing a few times because I didn't understand you just have to go fast. I was just like trying to assess what was ahead of me.
Gotcha.
And you're not supposed to assess. You're just supposed to go. I mentioned this at the top, but the story kind of goes over my head. We're in a surrealist setting to a degree, and we seem to be the same character at two different ages, talking to each other and a therapist. But I don't understand at which stage in our life we actually are for real. And there will be writings that get scribbled as each of the two characters progress. But when those scribblings show up on the wall, they aren't really helping me understand the story any better, really. As far as I can tell, this is about someone that eventually finds a certain activity to help them overcome debilitating anxiety. Maybe abandonment is at play too. But there's also therapy. So I don't know. I can't put all the pieces together. All of the dialogue pieces are really vague and doesn't seem to be pointing to anything specific throughout most of the game. Last, and this is a very, very, very minor nitpick, I reached a point where a new mechanic was added for the shadow. And when I got there, it was like this little pocket that I was trapped in. Like the ledges on either side were too high to jump on. The gravity was weird. And I couldn't figure out what to do. I kept trying to land on this little target on the ground. But what I found out was that this target was actually the game telling me to press circle.
Oh.
And I only realized it after I looked it up online, and the prompt was like the letter B or something. So I didn't pick that up because they were committing so hard to their art style, because it's just the button that they want you to press is just done in the same shadow style as the rest of the shadows.
Which I appreciate when they go the extra step to do that, to make it a little bit more immersive. But sometimes that hurts the ability to understand exactly what the game wants you to do.
Yeah, like literally if it would have been triangle instead of circle, I would have been like, I pressed triangle. It just was an unfortunate circumstance that it happened to be
that one sacred symbol is unfortunately doesn't translate as well. Yeah.
So yeah, I've had this game for a while, and I've been waiting for an excuse to get it into Underplayed. I don't know what I expected it to be exactly, but I didn't expect a biplanar puzzle game necessarily. Having played it, though, it's probably one of my favorite puzzle games. I think it's a delight to look at and listen to at all times, and the difficulty never rises to the level of frustration, and that's just the way I like it. And even though it doesn't sit in my list with the rest of the games that get this score, it's only because I completed it and I don't have a strong drive to play it again. But my first playthrough did really wow me, and I've recommended this to a lot of people already. I give this a 9.5 out of 10.
I am very enthusiastically interested in this. I'm so glad that you loved it. I don't really have questions about it. I think this is really straightforward, other than maybe the story not delivering clarity in every area, it sounds like. But one game this is reminding me of, it's a game I haven't played, so I won't be able to talk about it at length, but this is interesting. I was kind of reminding myself of the vibe of this, the gist, the shadow part of you, and the quote unquote real or non-shadow part of you interacting, doing things together. It was reminding me of a 2013 game called Contrast. I don't know if you've heard of Contrast, but Contrast is a puzzle platform game. Just quoting from Wikipedia, the player must solve puzzles that require movement between the physical world, which is represented as 3D, and shadows, which are represented as 2D.
I wonder if that's a deep inspiration for it.
Could be. This released about 7 years before Shady Part of Me, Well, I looked at the publisher and the developer. It was published by Focus Entertainment, which published Shady
Published
Part
this
of
one,
Me.
yeah.
So very interesting similarity there. I don't know if it's just a coincidence. I don't know if Focus Entertainment is actively looking to publish these
Focus
2D
Entertainment
/ 3D.
has very niche taste.
Yeah, they publish a lot. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. Look into contrasts.
Okay.
It's always been one that I've found to be appealing. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Okay, cool. I will look into that.
Yeah. And where can you play Shady Part of Me?
You can play Shady Part of Me on PC, Switch, Xbox One, and even though I don't have a physical, I think there is one for it, but I played it on PS4.
Oh, wonderful. All right. It is time for my secret game. And you said earlier that you thought you knew what my secret game was.
Uh-huh.
Do you feel like confident enough to say it?
No.
Okay. Are you sure?
No.
You might. Okay. I don't think you'd be right. I'm just going to tell you for free.
My guess is, and I'll tell you why it's my guess. My guess is Copycat, and it's my guess because when I logged into Backloggd to put Shady Part of Me in, I saw a review of Copycat on your profile.
I added it to my journal. Yeah.
And that has been at times an indicator of your secret game.
Okay. As we sit down, I did just play Copycat last night. My secret game is Sludge Life 2.
Previously on Sludge Life. First off, Glug sucks. Make fun of all this sludge covered crud. And then they went and killed Siggy. Tell you what, fools wasn't having none of that. And the homie Ghost tagged the whole island, top to bottom. And then it was like this big ass baby and Moscar. And then them Clops, Hans, and then 66, and Tia, and Quick Creeper, and Bergamon, and my man Uzi, and Zooms, and then this big ass bomb, and then what you call it, a double butthole cat, oh, and this creepy little homie. And then it all blew the fuck up, but we going back to the sludge.
You won't believe me, but that was my guess prior to, like a couple days ago, I was like, oh, he's going to review Sludge Life 2. And then I totally forgot. And I saw Copycat today.
I got to be careful on Backloggd with logging my stuff.
And you know, it used to not go to that page when I logged in because it just like,
Yeah.
you're just like in my feed now or
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah.
It's not the page I'm used to seeing.
You could bookmark your profile, and then you would avoid
And
the
that's the
social
one that
stuff.
it's supposed to go into. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
Well, anyway, I am excited to talk about Sludge Life 2. So you remember me talking
I remember
about
Sludge Life. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to forget.
Do you have any guesses on how many episodes ago Sludge Life 1 was reviewed? So we're on episode 96. How many episodes ago was it? Or do you have a guess on just the episode number?
I want to say that was like season 3, pretty early in the season. So maybe episode 31.
It was episode 39.
Wow.
You're pretty
I
close.
was
You were
close.
pretty
I'm
close.
pretty happy with that.
Yeah. It was actually earlier than I thought. So it's been a while since I've talked about Sludge Life. And Sludge Life 2 was released in 2023, so it's been out for a bit. It is an adventure exploration game developed by Terry Velman and Dose One, who developed the first game. And like the first game, it is published by Devolver Digital. The game synopsis from Steam reads, quote, Sludge Life 2 is the grimiest first-person vandalism sim since the first Sludge Life, but like twice as dense. Explore a huger, weirder, gnarlier open world loaded with secrets, weirdos, jokes, and of course, plenty of spots to tag, end quote. So a lot of what I say about Sludge Life 2 also applies to Sludge Life 1. This is a very faithful continuation of this series. This is an adventure game filled with graffiti, hip hop, and urban culture, lots of dark humor, lots of psychedelia. You play as Ghost, a graffiti artist or tagger who wants to literally make his mark on the world. This is in the first person, so you're walking/running around this big, messy place. And the first game was set in a shipyard/island. This game takes place in the Siggy City Suites, which is a multi-floor hotel, and also some surrounding areas on the ground level. And oil and waste covers the entire surface of the world. And this is where we get the term sludge life. According to the Steam page, there are 3 times more NPCs to find and talk to in Sludge Life 2 compared to Sludge Life 1, which is pretty incredible because I remembered talking to many weirdos in Sludge Life, and this game touts 3 times that number. And there is a minor character from the first game named Big Mud. Big Mud is a rap artist and has gone missing in Sludge Life 2. And your goal is to find him so he can record a track with his crew. And so before, your goal in Sludge Life was kind of about escaping this sludgy life, and things felt a little bit more open-ended. This one, your goal is very clearly stated. Big Mud is missing. Go find him. And this is a sandbox game, so the world is immediately open for you to explore. You can leave your mark in predetermined tag spots. You'll go up to a spot with a little spray can icon, and you can leave your graffiti. Ghost will leave his mark, and he has like a signature style. You also run into other graffiti artists who have their own signature style, and sometimes you can do cooperative tag spots with them. You also find items that aid in your exploration, like a glider. If you're like on a high platform, you can soar to like rooftops and things. You can also find sneakers that let you double jump and sprint. And you talk to all these people around you about just strange scenarios that they're in. People will be in the Siggy Suites, just living their lives, doing something weird, and you can go in and talk to them for a moment. There are apps to play on your laptop, which is what you look at when you pause this game. You can find warp stations that let you fast travel to distant points. And your goals are just to explore the world, find places to graffiti, and find out where Big Mud is and help him get to the recording studio. So this is what I liked about Sludge Life 2. I think this game totally commits to being a nasty, filthy, uncouth place, just like the first game. It's like the first game ends and Sludge Life 2 immediately picks up in a very similar place. Like there's not a note that's dropped between these games. And there's also a demo that acts as like an interlude between these games, which is really cool. So the demo that you might have played prior to Sludge Life 2 is not actually lifted directly from Sludge Life 2. It is like a demo session, if you will. It's like
it's like an EP.
It's like an EP. It involves a recording studio from what I remember. I think Big Mud plays a huge part in it. And so it makes sense, like going from the first game to that demo session /EP to Sludge Life 2. It just all feels very cohesive, this series. And I really hope they continue exploring new ways to show you weird stuff in this universe. This place is full of miscreants and rogues and misfits, all kinds of strange things and animals. The exploration continues to be rewarding with lots of missable goodies and characters to run into. When I look at the trailer for Sludge Life 2, I'm seeing characters and situations that I didn't run into. So I didn't see everything, which is really exciting. And because it's open world, you could run into a whole bevy of characters that I might not. And I think that's really fun. As you run around, you also can find these samples from Big Mud. You can play short little music videos on your laptop. That's really fun to find. The music from Dose 1 continues to be killer. It is just like really thick, sludgy hip hop. I don't know how else to describe it.
I know what you mean. I've heard it before.
Yeah, if you listen to the trailer, you'll get a sense for it. And the hip hop vocals are not only done by Dose 1, but those are the vocals and performance of Big Mud. So Dose 1 is sort of playing a character in this game while also producing the music. I think that's really cool. I love how these games look, the sunburnt color palette, the dirty filter appearance to it all. It just really commits to being a very specific style that I continue to not see anywhere else.
For me, I think of Adult Swim stuff from like 2006 to 2009, like
yes.
Super Jail, and that's just the one that pops off my head.
Absolutely. It is reminiscent of that stuff completely. And it finds its own style. It commits to it, and you never know what you're going to see. So that's what I love about Sludge Life 2. Also, I'll say this game is only a couple hours long, as was the first game. It's just a game you can play in one sitting and have a great time with.
Okay.
I imagine it would be really fun to watch someone play too. Like, you're just going to have a great time no matter what. I do have some dislikes for Sludge Life 2. In a lot of cases, these cross over from Sludge Life 1 to this game. There is one specific criticism that I can call out about the sequel that I don't remember about the first one. But first I'll say, like the first game, I think the jumping and the gliding can sometimes feel a little weak. You do get the ability to double jump eventually, and that's nice. But sometimes I barely miss ledges I should have caught, especially as I'm gliding. The gliding can just make you drop off with your elevation pretty fast, and I wish it didn't. The game is a little cryptic in what you're supposed to do, although I still had a pretty smooth time in finding where to go. And like, my objective is clear. I have to find Big Mud, but this isn't a game where you get step 1, 2, 3 until you get to Big Mud. It just gives you the objective, find Big Mud, and it's going to throw you into this big world, and you just have to start exploring. There's no direction. There's not really like a intuitive order to things, and there's a freedom in that. I mean, I respect it, but your goal isn't stated other than find Big Mud. So things can sometimes not be that clear, and I did get stuck for a bit not knowing where to go, and also it was hard to get my bearings in this game because things are so vertical. Because you're in the Siggy City Suites, this is a very tall structure that you're exploring, whereas Sludge Life 1 was much more spread out and I think covered more area.
Yeah.
And I think maybe there is a somewhat equitable amount of stuff to see in this game. It's just going to be packed into a lot of this really tall building that is like center stage for this game.
There's like a threshold of verticality that you cross where I start to get annoyed. It's that way in Mega Man. It's that way in Spyro. It's that way in Bomb Rush Cyberpunk has like spots where I'm like, this is too much tall. Please, please wide.
Yes, it is a vertiginous game. And there are times where you are climbing the staircase attached to the suites, and I cannot remember which floor certain things are on, and some of it starts to look the same. And so I do get a little bit more lost in this game, and the Siggy City Suites aren't doing it for me as much in this sequel. So maybe they got away with not having to design as much of the world because they had such a tall building to work with. I just don't think there's maybe as much imagination there as I remember from the first game. It could be that I have slightly rosier colored goggles for the first game because it was so fresh at the time. But I was expecting Sludge Life 2 to just land in that same magnificent way for me. The structure of the world just wasn't my favorite compared to the first game. But regardless, this is still really fun. I had a blast. I think it's the perfect length. There's just lots of absurd humor and situations going on here. For me, this is an 8 out of 10.
All right.
And it's playable on PC, which is the version I played, and Switch. And for reference, back in season 4 or whatever it was, season 3, I gave Sludge Life an 8.5.
Yes. Well, I don't have any questions really. The trailer seems pretty straightforward too, and like what you've described sounds more of Sludge Life. I guess the only thing is, do you feel that the Steam mention of 3 times as many NPCs matches up with your experience?
It's very hard to compare because it's been a couple years now since I played the first one. It was a surprise to read that after I played Sludge Life 2. I didn't read that until after my playtime.
Okay.
So I wouldn't have played the game and thought, wow, that was way more characters. I just didn't feel that way. I also remember there being plenty of characters in the first game. So I trust them though. I trust that there are 3 times as many. I think it just maybe hits a certain point where there are so many characters in both games that it's hard to compare after a certain point.
Mm-hmm. And do a lot of these more bizarre characters that I'm seeing from the first game in this trailer, do many of them show up in the second game or?
I think some of the graffiti tag artists show up again. I don't think this is kind of a different place. The shipyard area that you were escaping from in the first game, that was its own place. The Siggy City Suites, it is a different place in this universe. So
Okay.
I think they intentionally designed a lot of new characters here.
Okay,
which is cool.
I wasn't sure because I keep seeing like Burgermon in both halves of this trailer.
Yeah.
So
There's a iconic fast food stand in this game. So Burgermon was a nice landmark in the first game. In the sequel, there is a stand called Snake
dogs.
or Hot Snake.
Hot Snakes.
Hot Snakes.
Yes.
Snake Dogs. One of the two.
The point is that it's really long hot dogs.
It's really long hot dogs, and there's a dog waiting by a hole next to the side of the building, and you go up and press a button, and a hot dog snake comes out of the hole, and the dog eats it. And I love moments like that.
I thought you were about to say it comes out of the dog.
No.
And I was not on board.
Oh no, the dog just wants a little snack.
Okay.
He gets quite a big one. So yeah, that's Sludge Life 2. Any other
Yeah, that's
questions?
all I've got.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I highly recommend both games and that demo if you can get around to it. They're just super fun and unlike anything else I've played. Those are our secret games, Shady Part of Me and Sludge Life 2. Let's move on to our review of Don't Starve Together. It is our featured game. Don't Starve Together is a 2016 multiplayer open-world survival game developed and published by Clay Entertainment. The game synopsis from the Steam storefront reads, fight, farm, build, and explore together in the standalone multiplayer expansion to the uncompromising wilderness survival game Don't Starve. So Don't Starve Together is a top-down perspective game with a grim yet cartoonish style, reminiscent of Tim Burton, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any works that this reminds you of, specifically maybe from games?
To a small degree, I kind of see like creeks and a little bit of Amanita stuff in this. Just
Love
sort of
that.
that more like hand-drawn, heavy shading kind of a art style.
Yes, it's kind of got a paper cutout feeling mixed with like puppetry, mixed with stuff that you see Double Fine do and Tim Burton. Like all this stuff kind of combines, I think, into the visual style here. And this game tasks you with going into the Constant, which is a nightmarish world that you must survive with your chosen character. In this game, you're going in with one of many characters. Pretty much all the characters have a name that start with W, and there are lots to mention. I'll name drop Wilson, who's sort of the poster character for Don't Starve and Don't Starve Together. Wilson is a gentleman scientist There's also Willow, who is known for starting fires, I'll say. And there's many others we could mention, but another one of note is Maxwell, who I learned is the antagonist of the base game.
Oh.
Now, this might be very common information for a lot of listeners because some of you may have played Don't Starve / Don't Starve together. This, again, is a very new game and series to both of us. So that's the review you're getting today.
Yeah.
You're going to get two newbies who kind of struggled through Don't Starve together, but we did learn a lot. And the Constant has a surface area with a variety of biomes that you can explore. Over time, the world evolves, and your goal is to survive as long as you can with your friends. And this is where I pass it to you to talk about gameplay, and there's actually a lot on your plate here.
Yeah, I was very bullet pointy on this one. I'm kind of wrote this down in like order that you have to start doing things. So you pick your character, and each one has like some sort of strength or some sort of weakness. Most of the time, you picked the poster character, Wilson.
Yep, Wilson.
I picked the robot, which is WX78. Pretty much every time, the robots.
Robots. He loves robots.
And then once you pick your character, you dropped in. First thing you probably want to do is start collecting resources. So you'll go out from the portal into the, what was it called?
The Constant.
The Constant. And you'll start collecting whatever resources are close by camp. It might be grass. It might be twigs. It might be rocks. It might be berries. So you're just collecting whatever you can that's close by before it starts to get dark. And that's sort of part of the next thing. Exploring is a big part of this game, trying to get a sense of what's nearby, where if you want to change your base camp, essentially, deciding a good place to set up camp, because you might find yourself close by a lot of trees, or you might find a landmark that maybe you don't know how to interact with yet, but you want to discover or learn more about. And so for any number of reasons, you might decide after exploring in certain directions that this is where you want to set up camp. After you've collected a lot of resources, you can begin crafting. And one of the first things you'll probably want to craft are tools. You've got tools like axes and spears and what's the other main? Pickaxe,
yes.
Which you will need to mine rocks, which you might find later. So you'll need some tools to collect other certain resources. Like you need an axe to collect wood instead of just the twigs. You need a pickaxe to collect gold and other types of minerals from boulders rather than just the flint that's lying on the ground.
Yeah, you can't get away with one tool. You have to use one tool to get resources to make other tools and other materials for other things.
Yeah. From there, I would say the next thing we did at least was hunting once we finally learned how. There are various creatures in this world. Some of them are small and weak enough that you can take on without a weapon, but some of them are large and much stronger than you and much faster than you. And so you can hunt them. You can hunt various creatures. There's like little rabbits. There's butterflies. There's pigmen. There's snake otters. There's monsters that are literally just called monster, and giant beak men with large feet and one eye.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a lot of things to hunt.
There are going to be official names for a lot of these things, and we're going to use shorthand for a lot of it because
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's a lot to remember.
They killed me quickly.
Yeah. Terrorbeak, is that the
that's
name?
The guy.
Is that the guy?
That's the big long legs
yes.
and the beak and the one eye.
And a terror it is.
Yes. Next, and key to every single night is camping and surviving the night with the resources that you gather. You also need to have a light source at night, because there are creatures that come out in the dark and kill you like immediately. You need some sort of campfire. If you get far enough, there are stronger structures building. You can build fences. You can build tents. I believe you can even go beyond that with more sturdy structures. I will say that we never quite got to that point. But I do know that it exists because we looked it up. And then there are landmarks that you can come across. This might be an old junk pile, or it might be several marble statues. It might be a monument to Maxwell.
Yeah.
It might be the touchstone, which can revive you if your character dies. So there are several landmarks that you can come across, and that's just a couple of examples. And you never know where they're going to be. You just happen upon them.
Yeah, it's a roguelike, so it's always going to be a randomly generated world. And sometimes you're going to have an abundance of a certain kind of resource. The next run, you might not see that resource that much.
Yes.
So you have to adapt.
And all of these things are servicing your management of your hunger, your sanity, and your health. You need to eat. And there are things that are good to eat. There are things that are bad to eat. You need to keep yourself sane, which I find to be the most mysterious one. Certain things can make your sanity go down. And it might even be different depending on your character. If you're playing as WX78, getting wet in the rain really drastically decreases your sanity.
Right.
If your sanity decreases too far, shadow monsters will chase you and eventually kill you. And then there's also your health, and this is literally just like your hit points. If you try to go one-on-one with a pigman and you don't have a weapon, most likely you're losing most, if not all, of your health. And so that's something that replenishes slowly over time. There are certain food items that will heal you somewhat. And so you're supposed to manage all three of these stats. And then the last thing that I know of that I want to point out is haunting. If you are someone that dies and your other player characters are still alive, you can just sort of explore the map without any stakes and just sort of like haunt stuff. From what I found, it didn't make a huge difference in most objects that you haunt, but occasionally you get like a extra cool animation with certain objects or animals.
Yeah, or some dialogue or something.
Yeah.
I already have a slight correction. I said Terrorbeak. That's the name of one of the shadow creatures. The what you were thinking of, that's the Tallbird.
Tallbird?
I just wanted to put it on the record so that we didn't have to edit.
Okay. I want to swap
Mostly.
the names, honestly, but
Yeah, I kind of do too. I think I would swap those, but
oh well.
I'm looking at the Don't Starve wiki for this, but so I trust it more than us.
Yes, that's a good call.
Yeah.
Anything that you would add that I forgot, because that was a lot of stuff.
There's a lot you can add, and there's a lot we truthfully have not seen in this game because there's just a lot. I'm looking at just the mobs of creatures available in this game. It goes on and on and on and on and on.
I did
and
a
on and
Google
on.
image search earlier, and I'm like, I never saw anything that looked remotely like that.
Yeah, and there are seasons. There's the winter that you
Oh my
eventually
gosh,
go through,
yeah.
and you have to deal with the cold and staying warm. I think it's worth mentioning that you need to start a server of sorts to be able to play with other people. So you have to set that up. You have privacy settings and friend settings, and I think you can play with up to 6 players together in this game, which is cool. The characters also have inherent traits, and so your robot, WX78, had certain items that it came with and certain traits and stats that I didn't have as Wilson. And every single character has this going on, which is interesting. And some are just more predisposed to survival than others. Others are automatically making the game harder. In fact, there's
One specific one in particular.
there's one where you play as a child and they're really just not expected to survive.
Yeah,
And
their whole thing is they're like a balloonist or whatever. They make balloon animals or something.
yeah. So I didn't even try that one. We did not deviate from our selections too much. I did try a couple of
You
the
did
characters.
try someone else, yeah.
I did try the Boy Scout guy, and then I also tried
The guy that's like strong.
the axe guy,
Yeah.
or the lumberjack guy.
All I remember is that we made the science machine. And he said, "I'm not smart enough to deal
That's
with
right.
this."
I was like, "Are you kidding me? That's I built this so that we could do smart stuff." Yeah, building that science machine was a key part to basically a key milestone to get to every run. And as far as significance for this game, this is a very popular game. Like, this is the multiplayer expansion and its own experience, standalone title to 2013's Don't Starve, which again, neither of us have played. But this series is beloved by survival and crafting fans. I've never been a survival crafting person. And so just as we go into talking about this game more, just want to put that out there.
I don't think I've ever played a survival crafting game.
Yeah, so we're babies. Which, you got to start somewhere. So DiscoCola, after playing Don't Starve together for a while, what are your feelings on this game?
Well, as was always the case before I even started, I do love the art direction. I mentioned this in the Enjoy the Diner review a couple episodes ago, but I love that like bold pen sort of look. Now, granted, this is more of like a colored pencil sort of stroke, but there's a lot of like jagged edges. There's a lot of high contrast. And I've always thought that kind of art looked good. I think this Edgar Allan Poe looking world is dope. I like the pigmen. I like the tall beaks. I like the various look of the various meats. I think this game is equal parts like regal and grotesque. And I love that combination.
It has a feeling of Hollow Knight to me with a lot of its creatures too, like especially as flying insects chase you and things like that. Yeah.
After I did start to finally get the hang of it and the hang of communicating, I did start to find a drive to see how long I could last or how long I could at least stave off my insanity. So eventually I did find that drive a little bit. I love that there are a variety of characters that have different strengths and weaknesses. It really allows you and your partners to strategize and specialize, and then everybody kind of has their own role in the camp. And all of the different character designs also are just really quite cool, I think. I do want to move on to things I didn't love as much. Now, generally, I do tend to be indifferent on crafting games. I think of games like Spiritfarer, where I really enjoyed the crafting.
Oh.
I think of Moonlighter, where I was largely indifferent, but still positive. But in this case, I think there's just way too much. There's too many materials, there's too many options to build, and too much of it seems like near mandatory for survival really early on. So it's just like a lot to navigate, and a lot of it you really need, and it's kind of a really high plateau for new players. On top of that, we played on the console version, and at least on the console, the crafting menu is very tedious. My guess is this would be a little bit different with a mouse.
Yeah.
But as we know, I'm a console pleb, and even if I wasn't, even if I was like less stubborn about it, my computer right now only has like 10 gigs of local storage, and booting up my PC is a total gamble. Like, it only gets to the operating system about 15% of the time. So it wouldn't have even been a feasible option if we had learned that.
I was wishing constantly that I could use cursor.
Yeah.
Like I think this is probably a superior experience.
Yeah.
On the
most
PC,
likely.
you have to hit L2 on a PlayStation controller to pull up the crafting, and then using the right stick.
The right stick, which is
to navigate all the
little
menus.
uncomfortable.
A little strange, yeah.
But it doesn't automatically put you in the crafting menu. You have to if you were in the inventory menu, you have to scroll up to the crafting menu and select the category.
And then when you're running around, you have to use the right stick to select where you are in the inventory.
Yeah.
It's just, it's odd.
Super tedious.
I'm not sure if I could suggest a better way. I think it's just this game is that complex and involved that there's no way around it. It's just going to be weird without a keyboard and mouse, maybe.
Yeah, I agree. If I had to guess. And I think there's a way to hook up keyboard and mouse now to PlayStation, but I don't know it, and I'm probably not going to learn it if I'm honest.
Yeah. Well, you should just be able to play a PlayStation game with a gamepad with your DualSense.
I agree. Yeah.
I
agree.
mean, that's how it was designed. It was designed to work that way first and foremost for the console players.
I wonder if you can use the little touchpad button.
Possibly.
I didn't even think to try it.
Possibly. I didn't try it. Yeah, I didn't try it.
But anyways, all that is to say that it is tedious on console, and even if it wasn't, there's still so many crafting options anyway. Progress is slow. We never once got to the point where we were able to make a shelter of any kind. We were barely able to hunt properly before we died most of the time. And additionally, this is in part because of the randomness of the maps. You mentioned this a little bit already, but sometimes you'll spawn into a world near a forest and prairie land, but there's no boulders. The next time you may spawn near a buttload of boulders and flint, but there's no sticks, so you can't build the tools that you need to mine the boulders. And then maybe you spawn near 3 different pigman villages and hundreds of frog puddles. Like, sometimes this game just wants to kill you, and it wants to kill you fast.
It feels like it does lean really far into giving you way too much of something.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Yeah, and not enough of something very important.
Yeah.
And it
feels intentional in that way.
It does. And it makes it really hard to learn, I think. Like, we only started making progress after we got some advice from a friend.
Yes. Which we need to, I'm remiss not shouting her out sooner, but we need to thank Grace O'Malice, our friend on Twitch, for hopping on a Discord call with us while we were streaming, just spontaneously decided to help us out because she has lots of experience with Don't Starve Together. And we learned a lot. So Grace, thank you so much for helping us out. You actually got us way farther than I think we would have otherwise.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
100%. Never would have even had a backpack, I think, without the advice that we got.
Exactly.
And I think that's my overall biggest gripe, is that it's a chore to learn without help outside of the game. And that's really off-putting for me. And once you do start to get the hang of it, it still feels kind of aimless. Like, I don't have a proper goal outside of just survive, and just surviving isn't fun for me. It doesn't interest me very much. So at the end of it, I'm kind of like largely indifferent on this game. Outside of the tedious like crafting menu and aimlessness, I don't have much that I dislike about it at all. But apart from wanting to hunt some of the weird monsters I never got to kill, I also just like don't want to play it again. Like, that's the only thing that I'm like kind of curious about still. Though at the same time, there is a part of me that wishes this would have been the pandemic game for my friend group instead of Among Us. I think I would have liked this more with more people.
Yeah.
And I also wonder how much more of this game would be enjoyable or make more sense if I had played Don't Starve first.
Yeah.
You say it's standalone. I don't know what that means necessarily.
I mean, it stands on the shoulders of Don't Starve. So,
Okay.
I mean, I think if maybe you were there at the beginning of Don't Starve, playing that as a single player experience, maybe with all the expansions, the transition into this would have been smoother.
And that's what I wonder. But either way, I still love the art style. I give this a 6.5.
Okay. I think that's fair. I'm going to move on to what I liked and didn't like. I don't think anything will surprise you, but one thing I love about this is the collaborative process of playing this. I think this game encourages communication with its multiplayer. There are little touches that I think encourage us to give us information about what we're each doing. Like, as I explore the map, I can pull open the map and see where I've uncovered and where I've walked. And that information is not shared on your end.
Correct,
so if I learn where a certain biome is or a certain resource, it is helpful for me to communicate that to you if you have not gone to the Northeast like I have and haven't found all the rocks that I've just mined. So little examples like that I think are really clever for let's not make the experience as shared as you might expect. And I think that actually does benefit the experience of this being a multiplayer game. This is a high-stress environment. Every moment is a moment where you can be doing something, even when it's nighttime and you can't venture out farther than like your light source. You could be digging through your crafting menu, figuring out what you want to craft next, or maybe your science machine is right there and you're researching something on the spot. You're learning a recipe for that run. You have a little moment to cook food maybe at night. You're even when you can't move around that much, you can be doing something. So when I'm not sure of what to do, it feels like I'm wasting time, and that creates the stress, which can build up over time and not be pleasant for long stretches. But that is what this game is aiming to do. It's aiming to provide sort of like a higher stress situation, and I think it accomplishes that very easily. there's there's the feeling of not ever knowing what you'll see or deal with next. I feel like no two of our attempts or runs, whatever you want to call them, were that similar. Like, even though we were finding the same resources, fighting a lot of the same enemies, each run to me felt like it had an identity. Like, this is the run where we're right next door to the desert and we can set down traps very easily to catch these rodents. But then also we maybe have like frogs that are attacking us in another spot. Yeah, that was the
special one. Yeah. This is the run where I fell down the rabbit hole and never made it back out.
Yes. This is the run where I found tons of wormholes, what have you. So with how much it's leaning on giving you a certain kind of idea or resource, that creates significant, like, distinguishable runs and strategies. And then I love the character designs. I think they're just so imaginative, and for every reason you said, I just think all the character designs, from the player characters to the creatures, the wildlife, the enemies, all of it is so well done. And it's my favorite part maybe of this game, is just the feeling and the look of it. When I get to dislikes, this is just not my kind of game. So this is a me thing. My patience ceiling is very low for for this kind of a game. Most of this is due to how much of a struggle it can be to just keep everything straight and find the necessities. And I think with lots of repetition, it would become second nature. But there's only so much you can do in the few weeks we have to play the game for our podcast. So that's just an unfortunate side of this too, is that we didn't get to play this for 3 months.
Yeah.
We only got to play it for 3 weeks, and we didn't even play it that many times.
And then when you're a group of people that essentially play video games for a living and you have to move on to the next thing, it's like, if it already has that skill ceiling, or it's like, it's not something we're going to go back to probably.
Probably not. Unless I was playing with someone like Grace O'Malice, who could really carry me and show me a new side of the game. I know there's so many sides of this game I haven't seen. I totally understand that. And I totally get if there are people listening who are like, oh, but they have no idea.
Yeah.
It really gets good after this hour count. Totally get that.
I understand. We just don't have it.
We just don't have it. I don't know if I have it in me to just stick with this kind of game. I've never been a Terraria guy, a Minecraft guy, any number of survival craft, open world crafting game guy.
We need to roll credits.
Right. Well, and I think the goal of this game is just survive.
Yeah.
And there's undoubtedly details and lore and story you can uncover by doing more of it.
Those landmarks seem to point to that.
They seem to point to that, but a lot of it is just so vague that if I don't have a direction in how to uncover it without consulting an expert or consulting a wiki, it dramatically decreases my enthusiasm to do that. I just am gonna look at it for the base experience that it is, which is see how long you can survive. And at the end of the day, I'm only so good and motivated enough to get so far.
Yep.
So I'm only going to get so far.
Yeah.
That's just the truth with this game. And I totally, again, shout this out as a me problem, a me thing. That's just how reviews work. We talk about our inherent interests and skill levels sometimes. This is an example of, hey, I can only do so much because of my inherent temperament and interest level. So Don't Starve Together is a game that throws you into a brutal world without any instructions, and it asks you to survive. And I find that much more palatable with a friend by my side. I did have a lot of fun discovering this alongside you. Mm-hmm. And I totally get why this is popular and a very successful standalone expansion to a huge hit. It's just not inherently my kind of game. And with all of its challenges, I still find a lot to admire about it, even if I don't always actively enjoy it. I can admire something without liking the experience of playing it every single second.
Yeah.
And I did have fun every now and then, right? I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10 for me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I thought it was solid. Again, it's just not my kind of game, so I can only do so much with it and say so much about it. So I don't know what to say discussion topics wise. I didn't write anything down here as far as like a question to ask you to kick us off, but
Yeah, it's hard also when we experience the exact same thing together at the same time.
yeah. Don't lose interest together. No, I feel bad that we don't have as much to say as like someone who might have a more inherent interest. But
what are you most curious about that we didn't get to explore, that we died before we got to try to do something with?
I would say creating sustainability, because it feels like you can get to a point in this game where you have a well-oiled machine. It feels like, based on screenshots I've seen and like little clips that I've seen of this game, of experts playing it, it feels like you can create farms. You mentioned shelters. It feels like you could almost reach a point where the amount that you've built and gathered is enough to sustain you even through the harshest stuff. I could be very wrong on this. Maybe it just gets exponentially harder and you're doomed to fail after a certain point, no matter what. But it feels like you can possibly reach a point where you've tilled the land and you've planted seeds and you're getting produce. And also you're gathering stuff from traps very easily. And you have drying racks with meat just always available to you. How do we get to that point? How do we get to the point where we're not like just surviving by the skin of our teeth from day 9 to 10? I think the farthest we got was day 10.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I thought it was like 7.
Yeah. I think a lot of the time we got to the 7-day range or so. But yeah, 10 was the farthest that I remember when we were streaming, at least. So how do we get to that point? That's what I'm curious about. I'm thinking about all the recipes, all of the crafting that's locked because we can't get certain resources. I don't understand the upgrade path because I haven't seen where all the materials come from yet. And that's just something you learn about. But I guess, what do I do beyond the very beginner novice stuff of like get your basic crafting tools and get your backpack and your science machine? What do I do right after that? I would like some advice on that stuff.
What I'm interested in or curious about landmarks just generally speaking, but we got to the junk pit a couple times. And I think on probably the last session we played, on the day that I died, I was carrying back a broken Woebot or something, and I was really curious about like
Woebot.
I think
like
is
WOE.
WO. Yeah, not like sorrow. Woe.
Yeah,
like just robot, but with a W. I believe. I don't remember, but I was carrying back essentially the corpse of a robot, and I was like, oh, I wonder if this can be like an automated little helper.
Yeah.
And so I was curious about like how far in the robotics direction do we go? Because I'm playing as WX78. Like,
oh yeah,
what more of that is there?
You have a certain tool you enter the constant with.
It's something you can unplug with. I don't know what that means to this day. But
yeah, there's a lot I was seeing on my end with skills. So like as we were doing stuff, we were getting experience of some kind, and I had a skill tree as Wilson. And it sounded like you didn't have this as the robot.
A skill tree.
So as Wilson, I had like 3 separate skill paths, right? And I could just freely assign skill points however order I saw fit. And I could do things like invest points to make my beard grow faster or make my beard insulate me better for the winter, I assume. Make my torches brighter or like be more effective. I had skills like that I was dumping points into.
And you were like getting like level up animations or something? Like
notices? I got a little cue to press a button. I think it was triangle or something, and it would open up this skill tree. And my skill points persisted across attempts.
That's awesome. I didn't see anything like that.
Yeah, so...
Didn't even know experience was a part of the game.
Maybe the robot is so good that it doesn't need skills, or maybe skills would make it overpowered or something.
Because like one of the robots things is that you can basically eat anything. I did eat something. I did eat something spiky once, and it caused me damage. But like I don't think I can get like sick or anything from anything I eat. I don't know, but
we figured out some things with cooking and eating. We figured out that certain foods will assist your hunger, but then also help bring up your sanity again. Like the green and blue mushrooms help your hunger and sanity in different ways. And also like cooking things is always a good idea. We learned about, speaking of sanity, the flower crown. This was a tip that Grace gave us, that the flower crowns help us maintain our sanity. And so one thing we were often looking for right away is, did the world we rolled come to us with lots of flowers in it? And there was one time I found like 50 flowers.
Yeah.
And so we were good on flower crowns, but I couldn't find rocks, right?
Yeah,
so
I remember that.
That was an example of an imbalance. But yeah, that was a thing that we were both trying to make all the time.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else. I guess, like I mentioned in the review, though, I'm curious about fighting more of the creatures and what their drops are. I guess there is the rabbit hole, which looked like a cool part of the game, like a challenging and scary part of the game.
Are you talking about where you mine the rock and it opens up like a hole to fall through to another
so.
world?
Yeah.
I went through that a few times.
I went there one time, and you can get back up pretty easily, but like, I believe I tried to explore down there for a second and got killed very quickly. But I don't remember.
It's scary down there.
Yeah.
I got very intimidated quickly down there. And there are caves and stuff, which I didn't get to explore a ton. But you start to learn little quirks, like when you open up those, they're called sinkholes, I think.
Okay.
Are they called sinkholes? I want to say they are. When you open the sinkholes, bats tend to fly out of the sinkholes, and so then they can attack wherever you're camping. You have to be aware of that. And I was swinging my torch at them, lighting them on fire. I will credit the game for being very intuitive with just logic, like fire will spread, for instance.
Yeah, I had like I built a fence of grass, like a grass fence.
Yes.
And I was like, I wonder if you can light this on fire. And I did, and I think it almost immediately killed me. So I was like, whoops.
Well, and also dropping things for each other. That's something we were doing in our camp. Maybe you were hungry and I had some meat that I had cooked and I dropped it for you. If I dropped it too close to the fire, it would turn to ash.
Yep.
Or it might start on fire. You have to be careful about those things. And your fire can spread to lots of things in your camp. You have to be careful. You have to treat it like real fire, it turns out. One thing we tended to run into a lot too was one of us might die and turn into a ghost, and the other person would just kind of be left to explore and craft and survive. As a ghost, I found myself looking around for those shrines that resurrect you. I did find it once, but otherwise I was trying to haunt stuff and I couldn't find anything substantive to do. I feel like that was your experience too, right?
Yeah. I feel like there was one or two things I haunted that was like, I had no control over it, but it was still like I was a part of that object for an extra long part of time.
Yeah.
But most of what I did with that time was try to find landmarks or something interesting, or just see what the world can look like. And then eventually, after I was like fed up with that, I would just drink my alcoholic soda and let you play for a while.
Yeah. So you can kind of, this is funny you bring this up because the other night when we were playing our last session, there was a time where I died kind of early and you were really carrying the run. And I was telling you that like, oh yeah, I'm looking for a resurrection shrine. Like, yeah, I'm just going to keep looking. You keep doing your thing. And I did grab a snack. I did grab a snack during that time. And I didn't tell you, but I did do that.
I'm not offended. I'm pretty sure I went to the bathroom at one point during our stream. So
I'm like, disco. Oh, this is really cool. I found this thing. Disco? Disco? Well, I don't know if I have anything to share, honestly, about Don't Starve Together. I feel bad. I feel like maybe I didn't do this game as much of a service as it deserves, but that's just who I am.
I don't think that there's anything we can do about that. I don't think there's anything we could have done about that, because I think we hit a moderately impassable skill ceiling that would have taken quite a few more hours than we could give it to pass. But what I would say is what we can do to maybe make up for it is make sure that Don't Starve is on our list and that we play Don't Starve.
Oh yeah, Don't Starve could be. I don't think Don't Starve is currently on our list. I think we defaulted to just having Don't Starve together, not because it's like the superior experience, but because it is the experience that crosses over into the co-op category, which we tend to favor.
And I think maybe, like, I don't know if this is true still. I think maybe there was an assumption that the games are very similar in how you play them.
Yeah.
And maybe that's not actually the case.
Maybe. I think a lot of what's found in Don't Starve is copied over to Don't Starve Together.
Maybe we'll take a closer look at it and see just how different it is.
Yeah.
And if it is different, maybe we can play a game that has a concrete goal, ending, and credits roll.
I would love to have a newfound appreciation for what's going on here. If it's through another game like Don't Starve, I would be happy to give it a try. If I don't really make it that far in Don't Starve, it will just validate what we're sharing here a bit more.
We'll look into the mechanics of Don't Starve a little bit more, because we're pretty ignorant about it, I think.
Yeah. It is a game where you're not supposed to know a lot going in, and you're supposed to learn by doing and trying and dying and experimenting. So we did get to do a little bit of that. I'm glad we got to play it together. And I definitely can see from the beginning of our experience to some of our most recent moments in the game, we did learn a lot.
Definite improvement.
Definite
100%.
improvement.
Yeah.
So I don't have any doubts that we would continue to learn if we played more hours of Don't Starve together. But for now, that is our review of the game. You can play it on PC, Mac, Linux, Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. DiscoCola rated it a 6.5. I rated it a 7. That's the end of this episode of Underplayed. You can find more of our episodes at kzum.org/underplayed and on common podcast platforms. Our music was composed by Jack Rodenberg. Our art comes from Onimochi. Check our show notes where you can find and follow us across social media. Underplayed is on Bluesky, Instagram, and Threads. You can also find my links below, and I stream a variety of indie games on Twitch.
And I am at DiscoCola in many of those places, accessible by browser. And our episode 100 is coming up, and maybe by the time this episode's out, we'll open up the audio submission form, and you can submit some pieces of audio of congratulations, of what indie games are worth to you, of what you've learned listening to Underplayed. We'll have a prompt for you. So keep your eye on our social media channels for that, coming soon, if not already here.
Next time, we'll have 2 more secret games to review. A guest with Flora Marigold of Left Behind Game Club, and our featured game will be Flower, an adventure game developed by That Game Company. Until then, everyone, keep on playing.